Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to the Love Your Vibe podcast. I'm your host, Sean Robert Grant, and good morning. Happy Wednesday to you. We are 2 days away from Valentine's Day, and so, it's interesting because Valentine's has gotten that name. Single Awareness Day, I don't give a fuck about Love Day. And, it's really sad because, it's really a fantastic holiday if you really get to the meaning of what it means. And I heard a great story at my spiritual center this weekend, CSL Fort Lauderdale, amazing place. And it was about the story of Valentine and how he became Saint Valentine and how, driven and committed he was to the idea of having love present. And so, you think about love. And I know the reason that most people have trouble and they can't discover their own power and their own truth within it is because they look outside of themselves. They look outside of themselves, and by looking outside of yourself for love first, immediately you set yourself up for an uphill battle. You set yourself up to struggle. You set yourself up to really potentially become sour and not be able to experience the miracle that love is. And it's almost like being in the desert, walking up a sand dune, and all of a sudden you step into quicksand. And you're just sinking when you're trying to walk up the sand dune and you're not making any ground whatsoever. That's kind of what it's like when you decide to make love an outside experience as opposed to an inside job. I just paused there for a bit, but I was just thinking for a moment. So, because I'm aware of this, because I've experienced this in the short time that I've been alive, I wanted to share with you what I really and truthfully feel like is the most important aspect, the most important relationship that you will ever have, whether you're married, in a romantic relationship with someone else. This is by far the most important relationship that you will have, bar none, and that is the relationship to yourself. It's a relationship to yourself. And I think about how I've been blessed to be married, happily married, because that's always a key. For coming up on, I think, 8 years, would it be? Something like that, 8 years together for, together for almost 10, I think 9-something years we've been together, but we've been happy the entire time. Yes, there's been struggles. Yes, there's been things to go through, but, all in all, it's been a really great experience, and I think the most important thing to understand about that is that it starts from within me and it starts from within my partner. Okay? If there is no self-love, if there's no self-worth present, what tends to happen is you begin to turn your back on yourself and then self-destruct on anybody that is outside of you. So that may seem kind of confusing now, but I'm going to break it down here in just a bit and kind of explain, why it's so important to make self-love, to make self-worth the highest priority within your life and in your relationship. Okay, so the very first thing you have to do before you get into any relationship, and if you're already in a relationship, then you can still do this, but the very first thing you have to do is you have to discover the miracle of you. You have to discover all the love that is yourself, and this is not always humanly possible, but it has to come from a divine perspective, right? This is a podcast about spirituality. It starts with the divine. Because here's the thing, only the love of God, the love of truth, can love us for everything that we've encountered within our lives, right? When you start talking about really experiencing the unconditional love of Source, you really have to go within, because that is going to start with forgiveness, okay? So for me, it was interesting because I didn't really begin to truly start loving myself unconditionally through the divine until I was ready to forgive, right? Before I discovered forgiveness, which is some of the most powerful stuff. Isn't it crazy? Forgiveness can actually make you rich. I think I have a podcast on that. I got to check, but I think I have one. But once I started to forgive, because here's the thing, you got to look back at every single thing that is unfolded from a relationship standpoint and realize you are the common denominator in that unfolding, right? It's a harsh truth sometimes, but if you're ready to take it in, you can gain a powerful sense of mind by knowing that, you know what, I contributed to this. I'm part of the reason why this happened. This person abused me because I didn't love myself. Because if I love myself, then there's no way I would have allowed that to happen. So I started with forgiveness. And I'm just going to tell you, it wasn't always the easiest, because there were individuals out there that had wronged me so badly that it was hard for me to say, I'm going to get past it. I'm like, oh, hell no, I ain't getting past that. To hell with him. He did this to me. She did that to me. They can kick rocks. But then you think about it. In me just saying that, and that's one of the cases that happened, in me just saying that, all of a sudden, I lose all the love that was present within my inner being just by that one comment and that charged up emotion. So I said, you know what? No. This is more for me than it is for anybody else. It's more for me than it is for anybody else, right? And so I have to be aware that the forgiveness starts with me, because once I committed to that, then I could forgive myself. And that's the thing, you're not even really forgiving anybody else, you're just forgiving yourself, because everybody's just an extension of you, right? As that text message comes in, that's the ding that says I'm right. So that's the good fortune of living as a human being, or as a spiritual being having a human experience, is that everybody outside of you is just an extension of you. So then it becomes easier to forgive. And I tell you, when you forgive, right? The love begins to pour in. Sometimes it can draw you even to tears. I thought about some of the experiences I had with, my parents and my close friends and how, my grandparents, and how it hurt me so much that it would often bring me to tears because I was so angry. But then when I came to a place to forgive that, all of a sudden it was as if Source had wrapped me in its divine arms and just gave me the biggest hug. And I felt so, not even filled up, but overflowing with love. It felt like the $1 million miracle of love, so to put it. But it started with forgiveness, right? And then from forgiveness, you move to kindness, right? You move to kindness because you are so compassionate and understanding of everything that you have gone through, that you want to be kind to yourself. You want to feel worthy of kindness, so you start doing it to yourself, right? You start taking time out to do the things that really mean the most to you. That's what kindness is, and that's what, self-love is. So that means taking time out for yourself to do stuff that raises you to an extreme dynamic level of joy. Because here's the thing: if joy is not present in your life, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Joy, peace, calmness, and groundedness is a vibration that helps us to see what's not in congruence with self-love and self-worth. So you got to have all of those. Because when you have all of those, right? When you have all of those, once again, you're finding that good fortune of love, and you just see miracles happening within yourself all of the time, right? Because you're resonating with that in particular joy vibration, right? Meditation is another fantastic thing. So you start being kind to yourself, and then you feel the need, you want to meditate. And I'm not saying that you have to be like Buddha and go sit under a tree for 40 days, but you do what most have called like a mystic meditation, or the minute mystic meditation, I've heard of it, or the moment meditation, where you just take a quick moment. It could be while you're at a traffic light, while you're waiting for the crosswalk to change and the walk sign to come on, while you're standing in line at the grocery, and you just say to yourself, I love, approve, and accept myself unconditionally. I love, approve, and accept myself unconditionally. Now, I saw Louise Hay, God rest her soul, so wonderful, say that affirmation. And I said, you know what? I'm going to say that over and over and over and see how it feels. And I was in tears. Like my eyes began to water when I said that affirmation. I love, approve, and accept myself unconditionally. That meant that no matter what I had done, no matter what anybody had said to me, no matter what I had incurred, I could love myself unconditionally, and I could only do that through Source. And it was the most beautiful thing ever. Truly a miracle of love, right? And it gave me the inspiration to dive in deeper. Now, to dive in deeper would mean I would be here till Tuesday. So I'm not going to do that. But I just wanted to give you a jumping off point, because we're going to get more into this later on about self-love and self-worth. And so I kind of basically just described self-love and self-worth. So how can we implement this? How can we put this into practice. Easy. Start with you, right? Start with you. Self-love, self-worth starts with you. All those things I just said, and basically feeling. Because if you can feel, right? If you can feel in your heart what's true for you and what's not, you're so far ahead of the game, right? You're so far ahead of the game. So it's making a promise to yourself that you will not settle for anything less than the unconditional love that you have for yourself. And the beauty of it is, once again, is that what we feel within will resonate without. And if you're in a bad place, don't even worry, because here's the thing. You tell the universe, you tell the divine that this is what I want. I want to love myself. I choose to love myself unconditionally and approve of myself unconditionally. And the universe is going to start pulling stuff out. It might be painful, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. Because what you begin to see from that point on is all your relationships are at a high level. Every single relationship in my life, even the ones that used to be the most turbulent, are at a high level. Why? Because they're reflecting me and the work that I've done to love myself and to believe that I am worthy of that love. And I root myself in the unconditional love of Source. So it has to reflect that way. That's the biggest thing. When you get it right within, you get it right without. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. That is the one truth that you can have for today that will help you to experience the love that you're searching for. Now, moving into relationship, how does that work? Well, I'm just going to be honest with you. When you put yourself first, you put your self-love and your self-worth first, and you take time to really meditate on that. You take time to really just love yourself in action, in power, and principle, and method, whatever it is, and you really prosper the relationship with yourself, it becomes easy. It becomes easy with other people. And what I mean by easy is easy not in the sense that you won't have to deal with difficult people or people being difficult. Easy in the sense that you can just observe everything that's going on and never be flustered and never be feeling like you can't wrap your head around things. And more importantly, when you take care of that relationship with yourself, people who are truly in your corner begin to show up in your life. And they begin to be really good and loving towards you. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. I can remember so many of my relationships were emotionally distant. And I couldn't wrap my mind around it until I realized that these relationships were just reflecting me. These people were just reflecting me. And then I went within and fixed it. And guess what? Everybody who fell under that category just kind of fell away. Like just dissolved. Didn't text, didn't call, didn't, interact, didn't see them. It just kind of fell away, and they couldn't even really put their finger on it. Why? It wasn't what it used to be, but I knew exactly it was because I was not the same person. I was not the same being. And when it comes to relationships, at that point, you just overflow the love on yourself. There were days on Valentine's Day where I treated myself to a movie and a big old plate of brisket back when I ate meat. treat myself to a movie and a big old plate of brisket, and that was a done deal. And yeah, some chocolates afterwards, but I was in heaven. Because you know what? I knew that if I loved myself at this time, eventually somebody was going to love me in the same way, and that is what my wife has been doing for the past 9, almost 10 years. And it's just that simple. The love you want to have without is the love you want to have within yourself. So what we're going to do now is set the intention for everybody in the east, the north, the west, the south, all around the globe, time zones, wherever you are. We're all present right now. And I'm just going to set this intention. Dearest God in me, oh beautiful, loving, giving, powerful Spirit, we come to you in gratitude, first and foremost, for the unconditional love that Source offers to each and every one of us, without hesitation, without holding back to any regard. We thank you for that, and we ask, knowing that the asking is the actual receiving, that we may easily and effortlessly manifest an unconditional level of self-love and self-worth within ourselves to the point that it may reflect on the outside of us what we're experiencing within, under grace, in a perfect way. Guys, there you have it. Sending you love and light, unconditional, divine love and light. May you have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll talk soon. Take care.